my beloved child. In this moment that seems so ordinary, something far deeper than you realize is unfolding. You did not pause here by accident, nor is it a coincidence that your soul has been drawn to these words. In a realm unseen by human eyes, a sacred appointment was set long ago, and now you are standing precisely at that intersection. I have watched every seemingly small step you have taken, every weary breath, every time you lifted your eyes to the sky without being able to form a complete prayer. You think no one understands. You think no one sees. But I see everything. You have carried more worries within you than anyone could ever guess. There have been stretches of the journey where your shoulders felt as though they were collapsing under the weight. Yet, because you did not want to trouble anyone, you kept a calm expression, hiding the storms swirling through your chest. I do not take that lightly. I do not stand at a distance observing you like a stranger. I am closer than you imagine, so close that if your spiritual ears were opened, you would hear my breath mingling with the tears you swallow during long nights. There are wounds that cannot be explained by words, but they carve deep grooves into the soul. You have tried harder than you give yourself credit for. You chose kindness while you were hurting, chose silence when you were misunderstood, chose prayer when others blamed you, chose to keep walking when your legs felt too weak to hold you up. I do not let those things fade into nothing, like a shepherd who counts each sheep to make sure none are lost. I have remembered every moment you tried to rise despite exhaustion, every moment you chose what was right when giving up would have been easier. You once thought I was silent. You once feared you had been abandoned. But my child, there are seasons when I hide my face not to punish you, but to strengthen the roots of your faith. When you cannot feel me, that is when I am working at the deepest level of your inner being, where I do not allow any noise to intrude, where old fears must be uprooted, where the self must be refined before you step into a new sky. Just as a seed must remain buried in darkness before breaking through the soil, the days when you feel nothing is happening are truly the days heaven is reshaping your inner structure. You have been faithful in silence. You have remained upright even when the road was rough. You have held on to what is good, even while being pushed by winds unseen by others. Heaven sees it all. Not one prayer whispered in weakness is forgotten. Not one tear that falls is left uncollected from my bottle. Not one act of kindness is considered small in the courts of heaven. All of it is counted as seed for the harvest waiting ahead. You wonder why good things seem to come so quickly to others, while you remain at a threshold that does not seem to move. You think you have been left behind, or that you are not worthy of fullness. But my child, you do not know that heaven has crafted a unique path for each person. Just as Israel had to journey through the wilderness to learn how to live under my guidance before entering the promised land, I am preparing your heart so that you can stand firm when true blessing unfolds. I do not want you to receive something great with a soul still cracked in many places. I want you to enter the new season with stability, with steady courage, with the deep understanding that everything that comes from me is built to last. Do you know, my child, that there have been moments when I shielded you from harm before it could touch you? There are things I prevented from happening to spare you from unnecessary wounds. If your spiritual eyes were opened, you would see the angelic hosts standing guard around your life, pushing back the invisible arrows aimed at you, not because you are more deserving than others, but because I have chosen to love you with a love that never diminishes. You are not invisible. You are not forgotten in the chaos of the world. I have engraved your name upon the palm of my hand, a place nothing can erase. The love I have for you does not depend on your perfection. It depends on my nature, the one who never changes. Every moment you are weak, I do not stand afar to judge, I draw near to uphold you. Every time you tremble, I do not abandon, I cover you with the embrace of mercy. And today, I come to speak clearly. You are entering a turning point, not a loud, dramatic shift, but a quiet transformation that your soul will recognize more clearly than your eyes. The days of exhaustion will soon give way to days when you see my hand moving in the smallest, simplest details. The worries that have lingered will begin to melt as my peace filters into every hidden corner of your heart. The words I once planted within you will begin to shine again, like a lamp being lit after a long time under a covering. You are no longer defined by the failures that once frightened you. You are not confined by the words spoken behind your back. You are not held back by the sorrows you swallowed in silence. All of these things are the soil from which I will bring forth something new. And that new thing is not only meant to comfort you, it is meant to lead you into a life you never imagined you could enter. This moment, right now, is being sealed by heaven. You are being called by name. You are being invited in. You are not being pushed away. You are not late. You are not lost. You are standing exactly where I want you to stand. My beloved child, if you understood what is happening in this very moment, you would know why your heart is trembling gently. It is not vague nervousness, nor a fleeting emotion. It is the signal of heaven touching the deepest place in you, the place that has long waited to hear a word of affirmation. You once believed you had to be strong at every hour, to carry every pressure so as not to be a burden to anyone. You hid your tears at night because in the daytime you had to maintain the calmness the world expected. You walked through long, difficult days without comfort, through suffocating moments no one knew about. You thought my silence was indifference. But in truth, that silence was the space I created for your soul to learn how to perceive what is deeper than words, to recognize my presence, even when my voice is not heard. There are things I do not say immediately, not because I want you to fend for yourself, but because I want your inner being to mature enough so that when I speak, you can discern my voice among the thousands that compete for your attention. There were times when you listened to sweet words that led you astray, quick promises that did not come from me, paths that looked bright but ended in weariness. My child, I allowed you to step into a few of those dead ends not as punishment, but so you would learn the value of divine guidance. A soul that has never been lost often fails to recognize the hand that leads, but a soul that has been confused, fallen, and wounded understands deeply the peace that comes from placing its hand in mine and letting me guide the way. My child, do you see it that even though you have been confused, you have never completely collapsed? There has always been a certain strength holding you back each time you drew close to the edge of despair. There has always been a gentle voice in your mind urging you not to let go when you wanted to give up everything. There has always been a quiet intervention stopping harmful things from reaching you before you even became aware of them. None of this was accidental. It was me. I stood between you and the things that wanted to crush you. I blocked blows that you never even knew were aimed at you. I placed angels around your bed on nights when you were too exhausted to do anything but close your eyes and fade away from everything. And it was they who kept watch over your soul as you sank into the heaviness of weariness. My child, you do not realize just how strong you truly are. Your strength is not the loud kind, nor the showy resilience the world praises. Your strength is the quiet endurance, the perseverance that needs no witness, the effort that seeks no applause. This strength was forged in the long nights when you asked yourself, "Can I keep going?" yet continued anyway. It was shaped in the days when you stumbled but rose again, even when your legs trembled and your heart felt unbearably heavy. It was refined in the moments you received wounds yet refused to let your heart turn to stone. You kept your softness, kept your compassion, kept your desire to love even though life has given you many reasons to doubt humanity. My child, true strength is found there, not in never falling, but in knowing how to return to the light each time you do. I know you have asked me many times in silence, why does it take so long? Why do I still see no change? And I do not fault you for these questions. A hurting child has every right to ask their father, but my child, if you could see what I am building within you, you would understand that this waiting is not meaningless delay, it is profound preparation. You are going to receive something far greater than what you have been praying for. And because of that, I need your inner being to be wide enough to hold what I will give. If I answered too soon, the blessing could become a burden. If the door opened before the roots of your soul grew deep, the first wind of trial could topple you. But now, after everything you have walked through, I see that your roots have sunk deep enough to withstand storms. I see that you are ready to step into a new season without losing yourself. You often think you are slow, but in truth, you are walking at heaven's pace. Speed is not the measure of blessing. Many things that grow too quickly wither just as fast. I do not want your life to be a sudden flash of lightning. I want it to be a steady light, shining, nourishing, and unshaken. That is why I am not rushing, and that is why you do not need to rush either. You have lived many years under the pressure of needing to be enough, needing to keep up, needing to prove your worth, needing to run after standards others placed upon your life. But I have not called you to compete. I have called you to follow me. And following me is never running in panic. It is a peaceful journey. Step by step, breath by breath. You are not being left behind, you are being led on a unique path, measured by a love designed specifically for you. You once believed you had to hide your weariness to avoid being seen as weak. But my child, the truth is that the moments when you are at your weakest are the moments when I am closest. I do not require you to be strong all the time. I only want you to be present with me, with your real heart, your real fragments, your real shadows. There is no part of you that makes me turn away. On the contrary, the most painful parts of you are the ones I long to touch first. I am like the potter who does not hesitate to touch the clay while it is still wet and messy. The potter does not see the mess, he sees the potential of what will one day be formed. And, my child, that is how I see you. I do not see the chaos, I see what I am shaping within you. You think you have stood in darkness for too long. But let me tell you this, that darkness is not an ending. It is the backdrop for the light I am preparing to unveil. That light will not only scatter the clouds around you, it will help you see yourself with tenderness, with gratitude, with a renewed awareness of your worth. You will see that you are not what harsh words once named you. You will see that you are not as insignificant as you once believed. And you will know with certainty that I never created you with anything small in mind. Everything you have gone through is clearing the path for renewal. Not a shallow, surface-level renewal, but a transformation reaching deep into your very core. One day, you will look back and whisper, "So you were with me all along. So nothing was wasted. So every pain had a purpose. And my child, that day is not far away. And now, I want you to do something simple. Let your heart be still for a few seconds. Let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Let the weight of the heavy months slip off your shoulders. Let your heart soften in my presence. I am here. I never left. And I am leading you into the next chapter of the journey, a chapter even you will be astonished to see unfold, filled with things I have been preparing quietly behind the scenes. My beloved child, I want you to know something you have sensed vaguely but have never heard spoken aloud. You are not alone in the journey of your inner world. Even on days when the movements of the world overwhelm you. Even in hours when tangled thoughts wrap around you like thick fog. There has always been a presence beside you, upholding you in silence. The experiences that have tired you, the months of difficulty, the events that felt like they were drowning you, these are not signs that I abandoned you. They are signs that I am polishing something precious in your soul through means that no one could have predicted. Some things can only be formed through refinement. You have seen how a goldsmith keeps the fire steady to draw out impurities, haven't you? And only when the metal becomes clear as a mirror does the craftsman recognize that it has reached the purity he desires. I am doing the same with you, not to hurt you, but to separate you from the fragments of the past, from the dust that has settled over your true worth, from the false beliefs you unknowingly carried from your wounded days. What you perceived as loss has been purification. What you thought was failure has been the refining fire, shaping you into who I have always known you could become. I have seen the moments when you believed you were too weak to continue, yet still held on to a thread of fragile hope. I have seen the evenings when you sat alone in your room, not wanting anyone to know that your heart felt squeezed to the point of breaking, while on the outside, you forced a smile so others would not worry. I have seen the moments when you wanted to give up on yourself but chose to rise again simply because you did not want to abandon what you believed was right. Those quiet actions, my child, heaven has recorded every detail. I see more clearly than anyone the moments others forget, the days you felt like nothing more than a shadow in someone else's life. I saw you shining brighter than any beam of light. The hours when you felt dismissed, I saw courage glowing inside you. When you thought you were invisible, I saw you more clearly than ever. When you thought you had nothing to offer, I saw you carrying treasures the world cannot measure: kindness, endurance, trust battered by winds, faithfulness proven through trials. There are whispers I planted in your spirit long ago, and today I remind you of them so you may understand that they have never lost their power. Those moments when you asked yourself, am I just imagining this? Were all the things I once felt merely illusions? I want you to know that no, you are not imagining anything. Those stirrings were the sacred calling I placed within your soul from the beginning, a calling that did not arise from fear or desire, but from the divine purpose I set aside specifically for you, and that purpose is beginning to shake within you more strongly than ever. The time has come for you to see yourself not through the limited eyes of human judgment, not through the harsh words that once wounded your mind, but through the gaze I have had for you since the beginning. When I look at you, I do not see a weary soul. I see someone on the verge of a new chapter. I do not see a failure. I see a warrior rising after a long and heavy battle. I do not see broken pieces. I see a masterpiece being shaped through the very experiences you believed were setbacks. You have endured days of being underestimated, moments of being dismissed, comparisons that were never fair, and words that made your heart shrink. But listen to me, your worth does not rest in the eyes of people, nor can it be altered by the shifting nature of their attitudes. Your worth comes from the one who created you, and I did not place anything mediocre within you. You were not born to blend into the crowd. You were born to carry a distinct resonance, a mark no one can replicate. You may not be the sun in someone else's universe, but you carry a ray of light that belongs to you alone. If you have ever wondered why your soul is more sensitive than others, why your heart is easily wounded yet easily moved by small things, why you tend to notice what others overlook, it is because I have placed within you a sacred sensitivity, a spiritual refinement that allows you to discern the deeper movements of the unseen realm. What others perceive as insignificant becomes a calling within your heart. What they ignore prompts you to pause and understand. None of this is weakness. It is the sign of a soul chosen to carry light into places that seem cold and forgotten. The actions you believe are small have changed many lives. A word of encouragement spoken while you yourself were confused. A smile you offered even while carrying your own wounds. A moment when you held back a sharp response to protect someone's peace. A quiet choice to love rather than retaliate. With bitterness, these are the seeds of heaven I planted in you. You simply cared for them in the way you knew. And now, they are beginning to break through the surface. There were moments you wondered what you had done wrong to cause such a delay in your life. You once thought perhaps you lacked resources, lacked ability, lacked support, lacked luck. But there was one thing you never lacked, my sustaining grace. And that grace is the reason you are still standing. Not because you are unshakably strong, but because I have protected you step by step. At times I closed the door you wished to open. At times I took away what you wanted to keep. At times I led you on the longer path, not to burden you, but to shield you from dangers you could not yet perceive. You think you are being delayed, but in truth, you are being led onto a path far wider than you imagined. I am bringing you to a place where the wounds of the past will no longer dictate your steps. I am guiding you toward a future where your heart will no longer tremble with the fear of abandonment. You are being prepared to enter a chapter in which you will not merely survive, you will flourish. There is something I want you to engrave upon your heart. You are not walking alone. In the emptiness you once felt, in the silence you mistook for abandonment, I stood beside you. I never left you even when you drifted from me. And now, I am bringing you back to the center of the divine purpose I designed for you. You do not need to force anything. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to open your heart. Everything else I will take care of. I am preparing to open before you a door that your soul has sensed for a long time, even though you did not know its name, its shape, or its timing. You simply felt that something greater than your present life was waiting for you. And you were right. It is closer than you think. Let your heart be still. Sit with me, not with your body, but with your spirit. Let all your tangled expectations fall like the last leaves of the season. Let the emptiness within you be filled with the gentle presence that is surrounding you right now. You have walked through darkness long enough. Now I will lead you into a brightness you never imagined you were ready for. My beloved child, there is a gentle yet powerful movement unfolding around you. Like the early wind slipping through the leaves to announce a new season before the human eye perceives it, your spirit is entering such a dawn, slow, quiet, unhurried, yet carrying within it a strength capable of transforming everything you once believed was unchangeable. You once believed your life was trapped in a repeating cycle: effort, hope, disappointment, and then trying again. You saw yourself moving through old patterns, feeling as though you could never cross the threshold you had longed for. But my child, I tell you the truth, you are not stuck. You are being transformed from the inside out. The cycles you have lived through were never meant to bind you, they were meant to cleanse what is old, to shed what no longer fits where you are headed. No lasting change ever happens in haste. Just as a great canopy of branches must endure many seasons before it can rise without fear of the wind, your spirit also needs quiet intervals, silent seasons, and moments no one else can understand in order to grow roots that endure. You have faced many days when you looked into the mirror and no longer recognized yourself. You wondered, who am I when everything around me is shifting? But my child, that is the very sign that you are being shaped into a new version of yourself, a stronger, deeper, clearer version. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding the layers that once made you feel small. You are releasing the expectations that have suffocated your breath for so long. You are stepping away from the measurements others placed upon your soul. Measurements that led you to believe you were not enough. This loss of familiar shape is not destruction, it is restructuring. I have seen the days when you no longer believed in your own light. You draped a gray fog over your mind, thinking you no longer had anything of value left. But you did not realize that even in those moments, the light within you did not depart. That light is not born from you, it comes from me. It lives within every thread of your emotions, reaching into the dark corners you are afraid to show anyone. Many times you thought the light had gone out simply because you could not feel it. But that light is not dependent on fleeting feelings. It is anchored in the love I have placed upon your life. And that love does not fade. There are truths you can understand. Only now the silence of these past seasons was not retreat. It was my hand resting upon your soul to shield you from voices that made you doubt yourself. When others thought you were regressing, I saw you stepping into a terrain that only the brave dare to enter, the terrain of facing yourself, your fears, and your unhealed places. It is not easy to walk into that space, yet you did, and I am prouder of you than you can imagine. You once asked me, why must I go through such painful things? Why must my heart endure so many blows, my child? I do not send pain into your life, but I use those very experiences to carve the path toward deeper growth, just as a stone cutter uses pressure to shape a gem. I use the moments you thought would break you to awaken the strength I placed within you from the beginning. A gemstone does not emerge in comfort, it is formed in friction, darkness, and endurance. And in the end, it shines in a way nothing else can. So do you. Do not measure your worth by your stumbles or your moments of weakness. Do not define yourself by the criticism of others or by the times you did not handle everything perfectly. You were never meant to be measured by those accidental standards. You are measured by my love for you, a love that does not change with seasons, does not diminish because of mistakes, does not increase because of achievements, and does not depend on anything you do or fail to do. You have listened to so many outside voices that sometimes you forget the whisper inside yourself. I want you to return to that. I want you to recognize that within you is a gentle, steady voice, a voice that pressures no one, condemns no one, and does not frighten you. That voice is me guiding you with tenderness, not force. I do not pull you with ropes, I invite you with peace. A soul like yours cannot be moved by fear. You open only through love. You have walked a long path that others believe led nowhere. But I have seen every small step you took. I saw the moments you chose to keep going when your mind wanted to stop. I saw the days you did the right thing even when no one acknowledged it. I saw the times you fought off dark thoughts with a single, silent prayer. None of that was wasted. These are the foundations being built so you can stand firm in the new season I am preparing. You do not know that each time you overcame a fear, you unlocked a new layer of strength. Each time you forgave, you released your heart from an invisible chain. Each time you refused to return hurt for hurt, you affirmed that you belong to the light, not the darkness. These choices do not simply make you different, they make you deeper, more beautiful, more complete. You may not see it immediately, but I see it, and heaven records all of it. What I am preparing to bring into your life is not a reward to compensate for your losses. It is a new chapter emerging from the maturity you have cultivated. You are not stepping into the future as someone defeated. You step into it as one who has walked through darkness and still kept the light inside. You carry softness, wisdom, and compassion that only those who have cried can possess. And those are the very things that create a beauty no one can steal from you. Place your hand over your chest and feel the warmth there. That is the evidence that you are still here, still breathing, still standing, still continuing, still holding within you a life that cannot be extinguished. I am very near, so near that if you closed your eyes for just a few seconds, you would sense my presence covering you like a gentle garment. This is no longer the season where you must manage everything on your own. This is the moment when I step in more strongly, more clearly, not to control you, but to carry you through the stretch of road you have grown too weary to walk alone. You have been courageous up to this point, and now I want you to rest in me, my beloved child. As you sink deeper into this quiet moment, I want you to feel clearly that a change is happening not only around you, but within your very spirit. This transformation does not arrive with loud noise or dramatic signs, but like the early dawn slipping through the night, slow, soft, yet unstoppable. You often imagine that great things must appear in striking ways, must announce themselves boldly, must leave everyone astonished. But my child, the most enduring works of heaven often begin in silence. Just as I place life within the soil long before anyone sees the first sprout, there are seasons when you feel so empty that you believe you have nothing left to offer me. You look at your life and see only fragments of unfinished things. You see dreams unfulfilled, desires pressed down, faith worn thin, plans you tried so hard to hold yet could not control. You think these diminish your worth, but I tell you this from those fragments: I am shaping something new. I do not need you to be perfect to begin. I do not need you to be strong to continue. I do not need you to prove yourself, to strive for worthiness, or to accomplish something grand. For what I build does not rest on what you lack, but on what I planted within you from the very beginning. Do not think that your moments of weakness make me disappointed. On the contrary, it is precisely in those hours when you no longer have strength to hold yourself together that I am given permission to step deeper into the places you once kept locked. There are doors within the soul that only open when you are exhausted, because only then do you stop bracing yourself to survive alone. In those moments, I place my hand gently upon your heart and heal wounds you did not even know you were carrying. You assume that weakness is a sign of failure, but in my eyes, it is a moment of truth where you stop resisting, where you allow yourself to be honest, where you release the hardened shell and let me wrap you in tenderness. Do you remember those times when you felt a subtle stirring inside? Not loud, not defined, but repeating like a heartbeat. That was not a coincidence. It was the intervention I sent to keep your soul from slipping into a deeper darkness. Sometimes I used a small memory, a phrase someone spoke, a line you read by accident, a moment of wind touching your face, or the kind eyes of a stranger, all to pull you away from the edge of sorrow. You did not always recognize it as me, but my child, I never stopped trying to reach you, because I knew that if I did not hold you, your heart would sink into an emptiness you could not rescue yourself from. You once whispered in silence, "I'm so tired. I don't know how much longer I can hold on." And I never took that lightly. It was not the cry of someone giving up. It was the cry of someone who has carried too much for too long without a safe place to rest. I heard it, and because I heard it, I began arranging things to bring you into a new land, a place where you would no longer have to struggle alone. I know there were days when you placed your hand on your chest and felt nothing but emptiness. You walked among crowds while feeling like your heart was in a desert. You spoke with people yet ended the day feeling lonelier than ever. These emotions are not shameful. They simply prove that you have a deep soul, a heart with great capacity, an inner world far larger than those around you realize. Your sensitivity is not a burden. It is a gift I gave you so you could perceive what others overlook. But that same sensitivity makes you vulnerable. And because of that, I will not allow you to keep defending yourself alone. You have learned to hide your emotions, to appear fine even when storms rage inside you. You believed that hiding them was the best way to protect yourself from judgment. But, my child, when you hide, you also lock your soul in a windowless room. I want to open that door. I want the light to come in. I want you to know that you never need a mask in my presence. You do not need to pretend strength. You do not need to hide what is unresolved. You only need to be real. I do not love you for what you try to prove. I love you for who you truly are. It is time for you to lay down the heavy standards the world has placed on your shoulders. You have carried too many things that were never yours to bear. You have taken on responsibilities beyond your limits because you thought that if you didn't hold everything together, it would all collapse. But my child, you are not the pillar of the world. You are not the source for everyone. You are not the one who must keep the rhythm of others' lives. I am the one who does that. Your shoulders are smaller than you think, and I do not want them to break under weights that were never meant for them. My child, why do you believe that my love for you depends on what you accomplish? Why do you think I am pleased only when you appear strong? Why do you assume I am close only when you get everything right? I am not the one who records your failures to condemn you. I am the one who heals. And healing begins when you stop pretending to be okay. Do you know what moves me the most? It is when you come to me in your most exhausted, most honest, most broken state, yet you still come. Even when you have no beautiful words, even when all you can offer is a silent sigh, I receive it as a prayer, and I welcome it as the sincerest expression of your heart. You have walked a long path that many people never noticed because they saw only the smile on your face. They did not see the nights when you could not sleep because your mind was overwhelmed. They did not see the moments when you wiped away tears so no one would worry. They did not see the times you sat alone in silence just to find your balance again. But I saw, and I was there in every moment. Now, a new page is turning, not with thunder, not with dramatic events, but with a quiet shift inside your soul. You will feel yourself becoming lighter, deeper, brighter, not because circumstances change immediately, but because your perception of yourself and of me is being rebuilt. You will no longer wander in the old land. You will no longer need to play the role of someone who is always fine. You will no longer have to survive by your own strength when your soul has run dry. You are being led out of dead ends, not by your power, but by my hand. Let your heart breathe again. Allow your chest to open wider to life. And know that I am leading you into a quiet place where fear no longer has the final word, where light returns like new breath, where you will realize that you were never abandoned. My beloved child, there are moments in your life that you thought were endings, but in truth they were only the beginning of a new unfolding. Doors closed not to confine you, but to prevent you from returning to places that no longer nourish your soul. I allowed certain chapters to close, not because I wanted to take from you, but because I wanted to give you something you could never reach if your hands remained full of what was old. You once asked me why the things you tried so hard to hold on to slipped away. Today, I answer you gently because you were meant to step into something greater. Sometimes I allow you to feel the emptiness so you may learn that your true foundation is not found in temporary things, Sometimes I allow you to walk through loneliness so my voice becomes clearer. Sometimes I allow you to move through a stretch of darkness so you may realize that light is not always in front of you. Sometimes it rises from within. And I want you to understand that every time you fell was not the end, but an opportunity for me to set you back on your feet on a stronger foundation than before. You have walked through places no one but me has seen. You have endured invisible blows that wore your mind down, careless words that wounded your heart, memories you tried to bury but could not escape. Yet you were not abandoned when these things happened. I was there, never taking my eyes off you, even for a breath. You thought you were collapsing alone, but it was I who held your soul so it would not fall completely. You thought you were only quietly enduring, but in truth, I was carrying your soul in the palm of my hand. I know there were moments when you begged me to intervene, but what you waited for did not come immediately. Not because I was indifferent, nor because your prayers were meaningless. My child, my silence is not absence, it is my way of showing that what I am preparing for you requires time. Not all flowers bloom in the same season, and not all promises manifest at the moment you desire. But do not mistake delay for denial. I have never said no to what I have already ordained for you. I only say, wait a little longer, for what I am preparing is greater than what you asked for. When you see no change, I am still working in depths unseen, just as the roots of a great tree grow in silence. The true strength of your life is being formed beneath the surface. You do not see it, but everything you have walked through is making you stronger, wiser, more grounded. Old wounds are no longer cracks to hide. They are becoming the places where my light enters. The moments when you thought you would break were the very moments I was laying stronger foundations within your soul. Let me say this plainly, you are not being left behind. Others may move faster, achieve more, or step into new seasons before you. But that does not mean you are forgotten. I never design your timing based on the pace of others. They have their own path, and you have yours crafted intricately with love and beautiful intention. You are not late. You are arriving exactly when I have been appointed. You have compared yourself to others countless times, wondering why they seem to receive what you have long prayed for. But my child, what belongs to you cannot be stolen. No one can take what I have set aside specifically for you. What has not come to you yet simply has not ripened. Not because you are unworthy, but because the time was not ready to hold it fully. And I love you enough not to give you something good when your soul does not yet have room to keep it. Some blessings require inner maturity. If they come too soon, they slip through your fingers like sand. But when your soul is reshaped, healed, expanded in its capacity, then what I give will not only arrive, it will remain. That is why I do not let you take shortcuts. I do not usher you into a great future with a heart not yet strong enough to bear it. I am teaching you to stand firm, so when the blessings pour out, you will not be shaken by their weight. Even your sighs, I record every one of them. When you say, I don't know what to do anymore, I do not see it as weakness, but as an honest plea for help. When you say, I'm scared, I do not scold, I draw you closer. When you bow your head feeling small, I place my hand under your chin and lift your face. You do not realize how resilient you are, standing again and again, refusing to let bitterness take root, holding on to the last thread of faith even when strength is scarce. There are things you want to forget, but your mind keeps bringing back. Wounds you thought had healed but still ache at times. Losses you try to bury, but your heart still quietly mourns. My child, let me say this clearly. I do not love you less because of these. They do not diminish your worth. No flaw, no mistake, no scar can lessen the light I placed within you. In truth, the very things you consider weaknesses are what make you beautiful in my sight, for they are evidence that you have loved, trusted, tried, hoped, and poured your whole heart into life. Only the strong dare to love deeply. Only courageous souls dare to step into the future after being hurt. You are not as fragile as you think. You are a testimony of endurance, resilience, and a heart that knows how to rise despite wounds. I want you to know that your current weariness is not your final identity. It is simply the sign that your soul is changing seasons, like the heaviness before rain dense, gray, heavy with moisture, yet that very heaviness announces that cleansing rain is coming. And when it falls, every dry place is renewed. You are standing at the intersection between the old and the new. You no longer belong to what has passed, yet you cannot see clearly what lies ahead. That in-between space confuses you. But my child, this is the very space I use to recreate you. When you are no longer bound to what was, and not yet overwhelmed by what will be, your soul becomes most receptive to transformation. Let me rebuild you in this quiet place. Let me strengthen what once trembled. Let me wash away what no longer serves you. Let me reset the foundational stones within you, the places no one but me can reach. And when that work is complete, you will rise with a peace as deep as the ocean, a resilience nothing can shake, and a faith no longer fragile. You are not going the wrong way. You are passing through a necessary bend in the road, and precisely because you cannot see everything ahead, I want you to lean on me. You do not need to know the entire path. You only need to take one step at a time. I will handle the rest. I will open the right doors at the right moment. I will arrange the right encounters. I will clear the way even when you cannot see a path. And there will come a time when you look back and finally understand why things unfolded the way they did. You will see that what I withheld was actually protecting you. You will see that what I closed was guiding you toward something better. You will see that the tears you once shed were never meaningless. And you will understand that every chapter you walked through was written by my love. Rest in this peace. Let me hold the parts of your life you cannot control. Let me heal the places you have not had the courage to face. And know that you have not merely survived the old season, you are being prepared to bloom in the new one. My beloved child, I want you to quiet your heart and feel something unmistakable. You are no longer where you used to be. Even though everything around you may appear unchanged, something inside you has shifted in a way only you and I can fully sense. Just as the earth transforms beneath the surface before spring arrives, your spirit is undergoing a profound awakening. You are not the person of yesterday. The things that once weighed heavily on you have lost their power. And the wounds you believed defined, you are being undone piece by piece. I see the way you have begun to ask questions not merely to understand what is happening, but to understand yourself. I see the way you have begun to listen not to respond, but to discern what I am whispering. I see how you have started to release what no longer aligns with your soul, unnecessary worries, lurking fears, unhealthy expectations others placed on your shoulders. You think you are becoming weaker, but in truth you are becoming lighter. You think you are losing things, but in truth you are being freed from what once hindered your rising. Spiritual maturity does not arrive through dramatic moments, but through the quiet, everyday choices to remain grounded in truth even when no one sees. It is formed when you choose silence over arguing, when you choose to let go instead of clinging, when you choose forgiveness instead of harboring hurt, when you choose trust even when no sign seems to confirm that good is coming. No one applauds these decisions, but heaven records them all, and these hidden choices are creating within you a strength you do not realize you possess. You once thought that strength meant never being tired, never faltering, never letting anyone see your tears. But my child, true strength is found when you dare to face your own heart, when you admit the parts of yourself you do not fully understand, when you allow emotions rather than suppress them, when you open yourself to my healing instead of forcing yourself to keep running. Strength is when you know you are weak yet still choose to place your hand in mine. Strength is when you do not run from pain but walk through it with the trust that I am walking with you. You have carried inner wounds for many years so deeply hidden that you barely recognize where they began. There are memories that still tighten your chest when they surface unexpectedly. There are words that seemed forgotten, yet left imprints behind. Not because you are weak, but because you have a heart that feels intensely a gift, often mistaken for a burden. But I want you to know the very places you think are paralyzing you are exactly the places I am about to touch with my gentlest healing. You have feared reopening old wounds because you believed doing so would only bring more pain. But my child, when I touch a wound, I do not make it bleed, I make it whole. I do not uncover it to remind you of the past. I open it to cleanse what still lingers. I do not lead you to face your pain, to punish you. I lead you there to set you free. And there are some things that heal only when you allow me to touch the places you have kept sealed for far too long. You have asked me many times, when will this pain end? When will everything finally get better, my child? Sometimes the issue is not time, it is readiness. Pain does not disappear on its own. It needs a hand capable of turning it into strength. And that hand is mine, the one who understands you better than you understand yourself. The one who knows the origin of every emotion, every fear, every fracture you carry. I do not come to patch you together. I come to recreate. I do not come to bandage. I come to renew from the root. Do you know why I keep calling you back into stillness? Because in stillness, the chaos loses its power to drown my voice. The noise of the world makes you hear everything except me. You hear comparison, criticism, anxiety, fear, the expectations of others, all of them crowding in until the voice of truth is pushed aside. But when you enter stillness, layer by layer, those voices fade, and only my voice remains pure, gentle as breath, yet full of authority. In stillness, I speak things you cannot hear in noise. I show you depths you have never seen. I reveal hidden corners of your heart. I lead you to answers you cannot find through logic or analysis. Stillness is not escape, it is return. Not departure from life, but alignment with the true rhythm of your soul. I know you long for one thing, a place to lean on, a place of genuine safety. You lean on people, but they change. You leaned on circumstances, but they shift. You leaned on plans, but they collapsed. You leaned on yourself, but you eventually grew weary. I do not blame you. I know you tried, but I want to remind you that there is no refuge as steady as my arms. No shelter is safer than my heart. No word more trustworthy than what I have spoken. You do not need to know everything to keep going. You only need to know that I go ahead of you. You do not need to control everything. You only need to yield to my leading. You do not need to be strong every moment. You only need to be honest in the moments you are weak. I will never allow your breaking to be without purpose. Nothing you endure will ever be wasted. It is time for you to release the obsession with doing everything right. No one matures without stumbling. No one gains wisdom without walking through darkness. No one builds inner strength without facing moments that seem impossible. I do not expect perfection, I expect closeness. I want your heart aligned with my voice more than aligned with the pressures of the world. Have you noticed, each time you release something unnecessary, a gentle lightness fills your soul? Each time you pause, you breathe more deeply. Each time you step back a little, you understand yourself more clearly, not because you are giving up, but because you are learning to move with the rhythm of your soul instead of the rhythm of anxiety. My child, that is spiritual maturity. You no longer need to run. You no longer need to prove yourself. You no longer need to chase after anyone. I have brought you to the place where everything I will do next will come from rest, not panic, from peace, not fear of being left behind, from the awareness of being loved, not from the effort to earn approval. And it is here, while you are settling, releasing, breathing, that I am preparing to open for you a door that nothing in this world can close. Not a door of escape, but a door of life. Not a temporary exit, but an entrance into a new chapter built on your maturity, your peace, and your true strength. You are stepping into a territory where old fears no longer have a voice, a realm where the judgments that once made you shrink back hold no power anymore, a season where the things I promised long ago begin to take shape and become reality. You cannot return to the old land, because your soul has outgrown it. Walk gently but firmly. Walk slowly but steadily. Walk with the confidence that I am before you, behind you, to your right, to your left, and above you. I am not merely accompanying you. I am clearing the path. I am arranging things. I am preparing space for the good I am placing into your hands. You are not late. You are not lost. You are exactly where I want you to be. And this is the first step of a new chapter, a chapter where you will not merely live, but bloom. My beloved child, I want you to recognize something important. What you are feeling is not meaningless instability, but a sign that you are breaking out of your old cocoon. Just as a fledgling trembles the first time it spreads its wings, you are standing on the threshold where your soul expands, urged to stretch beyond the limits that once tightened around you. Not every trembling of the heart signals weakness. Sometimes it is the announcement that something new is drawing near. You once believed maturity was a smooth process where you would understand everything that was happening. But my child, spiritual growth rarely moves in a straight line. It is like water flowing through stone crevices, winding, shifting, sometimes colliding, yet always moving forward. And so it is with your soul. At times you feel caught in the in-between, not belonging to what is past, yet not fully at home in what is coming. That middle space confuses you. But it is there that you are being prepared most thoroughly. I know you have asked in your heart, why do I feel so unclear? Why, when I am trying to believe, do moments of wavering still appear, my child? Those very tremors are signs of restructuring. When the old inner framework is dismantled, vibrations are inevitable. No one builds a new foundation without first breaking the old one. No one enters a new season without releasing whatever once felt safe for a time. But I want you to know this: each moment of instability is not collapse, it is expansion. Have you noticed it yet? Before, a single hurtful word could cause you to crumble. But now, though you still feel the sting, you no longer lose yourself. You have learned to look into your heart before looking at the world's judgment. You have begun to understand that your worth does not lie in what others think of you. This confidence does not come from pride. It comes from beginning to see yourself through my eyes that are never clouded by expectation or disappointment. You are no longer the one who trembles in fear of being hurt as you once did. You have become stronger, even if you do not yet see it, my child. Those around you may not notice this transformation. They may still think you are fragile, easily wounded, or as delicate as before. But I see the old garments falling off you. I see the way you now dare to say no to things that once exhausted your soul. I see the way you step away from relationships that drain your spirit. I see the way you no longer sacrifice your inner peace to please others. That is not selfishness, it is awakening. It is not indifference, it is loving yourself rightly. You once feared that if you stopped pleasing people, they would abandon you. You feared that if you set boundaries, you would be seen as difficult. But my child, you have finally come to understand those meant to belong in your life will not leave simply because you choose to live in alignment with your true worth. You are learning not to let the fear of loss control you. You are learning to hold space for your own soul instead of allowing it to be eroded by unreasonable demands. Do not try to become the version of yourself others want to see. You are becoming who you truly are, the version I placed within you from the beginning, strong yet gentle, deep yet humble, sensitive yet resilient, a soul that bows before me but can stand firm before any storm. Do you remember the moments you thought you would not make it through? The days when you woke up feeling as though someone had placed a stone on your chest? The hours when even breathing felt exhausting? I saw all of it. I stood beside you when you believed you were alone. I heard the whispers you never spoke aloud. There are pains you never wanted anyone to know. Yet you allowed me to see them. And that is what makes you precious to me. It is in those very moments you thought were failures, that your soul was growing. Not when you succeeded, but when you stood back up after falling. Not when you had everything, but when you chose to believe even with nothing left to cling to. That endurance, the endurance you do not realize you have, is proof that what I placed inside you cannot be extinguished. And it is this endurance that will lead you into the next season. You once believed you had to be strong the way the world defines strength: no tears, no weaknesses, no visible fractures. But I want you to know that true strength is not found in hiding your pain. It is found in daring to open your heart, daring to feel, daring to face, daring to heal. Your tears do not make you weak, they make you honest. And the more honest you are, the closer you draw to me. The challenges you are walking through are not meant to punish you, but to prepare you. I do not wound you to teach you through cruelty. I lead you through pain so you may learn to see with the eyes of wisdom and compassion. I know there are moments when you do not understand why you must take the long way around. But if you walked straight ahead, you would miss what I placed along the winding path: encounters, opportunities, and growth that only blossom in the dark. There were moments when you thought you had been forgotten, but I never forget what I have engraved on the palm of my hand. There were moments you believed your prayers were ignored, but it was in those very moments that I was working most powerfully for your soul. There were days you thought you had gone astray, when in truth you were walking the only road that could bring you to where I intended you to be. I know there are questions you do not yet have answers to, and I do not rush you to understand everything at once. Maturity does not come from having every answer, but from learning to trust me even when clarity has not yet arrived. You do not need to see every turn, you only need to take the first step. And when you take the first step, I will open the second. I will never let you walk in darkness without a guiding light. You have come farther than you realize. You have stood firm through seasons others assumed would break you. You have kept kindness alive in moments when pain could have hardened your soul. You have preserved softness in your heart even after life pushed you around. None of these things are small. They are signs of a grace at work within you. And now, You are stepping out of the old cycles. You no longer need to repeat the patterns that drained you. You no longer have to walk the paths that led you back to the same pain. You no longer have to believe the voices that made you shrink. You are no longer bound by the old words that once caused you to doubt yourself. A new chapter does not begin with noise or spectacle. It begins with a quiet inside, and that very quiet is unfolding in you now. Do you notice it? The things that once made you panic now simply make you pause and reflect. The things that once made you want to give up now only make you breathe deeply and move forward. The wounds that once terrified you have become the reason you are stronger. You are not merely surviving your past, you are walking away from it. You no longer need to understand everything in order to feel safe. You are becoming someone who knows that I am the guarantee of your future. You do not need to predict every shift, you only need to trust me. And I want you to rest in the assurance that you are not walking alone. I go before you to clear the way. I walk beside you to support you. I stand behind you to protect you. I surround you in every breath. You are held far more securely than you know. Keep walking. You are being led into a season unlike any you have ever experienced. A season where fear no longer has the final word. A season where the things I promised are beginning to sprout. A season where your soul is being placed exactly where it belongs. And in that season, you will not merely live, you will bloom. My beloved child, what is happening within you right now is not disorientation, but reshaping. Your spirit is expanding to receive things you did not yet have the capacity to carry before. True transformation never emerges from comfort. It arises from the depths of those inner tremors, where you must leave the familiar to enter a sky you have never known. And right here, in this quiet turning of your soul, my purpose for you is becoming clearer than ever. Do you feel it? The things that once confused you no longer break you as they once did. You have learned to listen to your soul instead of the voices of fear. You have learned to pause instead of rushing forward just to satisfy others. You are stripping off the layers that never belonged to you, expectations placed upon you, responsibilities you never chose, criticisms that exhausted your spirit. Each time you release something old, the inner space grows wider to receive the new things I am preparing. You are not alone in this transition. There are seasons when I intentionally draw you away from what is familiar because I know that if you stay too long in an environment that drains you, your soul will never bloom. At times I allow doors to close not to push you out, but to protect you from what no longer aligns with the person you are becoming. I have seen the circles you tried to hold onto, relationships that required you to shrink yourself, work that made your joy fade, habits that quietly pulled you off the path I designed. And in love, I let them go. You grieve the loss. But my child, loss is not always sorrow. Often, it is the way I return you to yourself. You clung to what hurt you because it was familiar. You held on to things that drained your soul because you feared emptiness. But it is that very emptiness that becomes the field where I plant new seed. If there is no space, nothing new can grow. If you do not release, you cannot bloom. What you do not see is that your soul has outgrown the things you had to leave behind. Not every ending is a failure. Often, it is proof that you no longer belong there. Like a garment that has become too tight, old environments can no longer contain you. And that tightness is my gentle way of reminding you that you were made to rise higher. Stretch wider. Dig deeper. My child, never once have I taken my eyes off you. I know the moments you sat alone with questions no one else could answer. I know the nights you wondered if anyone truly understood you. I know the times you tried to be strong while trembling inside. You think no one sees or understands these feelings. But I understand, every one of them, every thought, every breath, every tightening of your heart. I see it all. You have asked me many times, why does everything keep changing? Why can't I hold on to what once made me feel safe and my child? I answer you with a truth both gentle and powerful. You cannot grow if you keep clutching what has already finished its purpose in your life. You cannot soar if you cling to a branch that has already decayed. You cannot enter a new season if you insist on holding on to a season that closed long ago. I know this frightens you. Change always brings uncertainty. But I never lead you into a transformation without first preparing the strength you need to endure it. I have sown into you a resilience that transcends time. I have placed within you a perseverance you have yet to fully understand. I have breathed into your heart the capacity to withstand what is difficult so that from it, your soul may become sharper, wiser, and richer in compassion. There are people who entered your life only to teach you a lesson. There are those who walked closely with you only to play the role of ushering you into a new chapter. There are memories that seemed eternal but were merely stepping stones toward where I have destined you to be. Not everything you lost was a loss. Some were releases. Do not forget the moments you believed you were weakest were the very moments I was strengthening you most. The moments you thought you were abandoned were the moments I stood closest to you. The moments you believed you were left behind were the moments I was leading you on a path uniquely yours. I have never taken you into a dead end. I have only taken you into turns your eyes were not yet accustomed to. You once felt your heart like a shattered mirror, each fragment reflecting a small piece of the things you had lived through. But my child, I do not rebuild your soul by gluing old fragments back together. I am creating something new, something that has never existed before. I do not patch together the broken pieces. I use them as material to form a completely new shape, stronger, deeper, clearer. You asked me, when will I see what you are doing, my child? You will see when you are ready to receive. Light does not force open closed eyes. Yet I am slowly drawing back the veil before you. Little by little, you will begin to see purpose in every step, meaning in every challenge, and connection in every event you once thought was chaos. You will understand why I took you from one place to lead you into another. You will see how every circumstance has been woven together to bring you to a safer, fuller place. Let your heart know this: you are not lost. You are being repositioned. You are not losing something precious. You are being honored to receive something greater. You are not empty. You are being cleared to hold what is whole. You are not slow. You are walking in the exact rhythm I set for your journey. And I assure you, the time will come when you look up and realize that what I have prepared surpasses what you ever hoped for. You will find a peace no longer fragile. You will hold a joy no longer shaken by circumstances. You will walk without trembling, for you will know that I am the one going before you, the one behind you, the one surrounding you on every side. You have endured days that felt endless. You have walked through loneliness you believed no one noticed. You have lived through hours when it felt like your heart had sunk to the deepest place. But today I tell you that heaviness was not without purpose. It is evidence that your soul is changing form. And soon there will come a moment when you no longer feel as if you are struggling to survive. You will feel yourself truly living. You have held on, and I will do the rest. Prepare yourself, for from here, a completely new chapter is opening, one in which you are not only healed, but established, not only comforted, but lifted, not only restored, but placed exactly where I have intended you to be. My beloved child, I want you to pause for a moment and recognize that you have just stepped out of an old sky, where the things that once held you down no longer have power over your life. You are no longer bound by old fears, old obsessions that once made you tremble, or old thoughts that once made you doubt yourself. A thin layer of dust that rested on your shoulders has fallen away. A door within your heart, once sealed shut, is now cracked open. And in that quiet space, I am calling your name with a tone entirely new, gentle yet profound, as though each word is reaching into the very roots of your soul. Can you feel it? Not just relief, but the sensation of standing at the threshold between what is familiar and a horizon utterly new. You no longer belong to the old darkness, but you have not yet fully explored the new light. And in this in-between, I want you to know that you did not find your way out by yourself. I am the one who led you, step by step. Even in moments when you thought you were walking in the dark without a companion, look back at how I have preserved you along the way. It is no accident that you were not swept away by the chaos around you. It is no accident that you overcame emotions that once threatened to drown you. It is no accident that the things which once broke you no longer disorient you. All of it reveals a reality invisible to the natural eye. You are being covered, guarded, and protected by the armies of heaven. You were upheld in those moments you thought you were struggling alone. I know there were times you believed I was silent, but my child, my silence never means abandonment. It is when I intervene most deeply, adjusting layers you cannot touch, reorganizing things that, if you saw them all at once, would overwhelm your mind. I do not fall silent because I turn away. I fall silent because I am working in depths you can only feel, not yet understand. Did you think the small shifts in your heart were a coincidence? No. My child, every subtle change is evidence that I am touching the places you cannot heal on your own. Every time you suddenly felt peace during a weary day, it was a sign that my hand was on your shoulder. Every time you breathed deeply without knowing why, it was because I was pulling you away from a wave of emotion that almost overtook you. Every time you did not react the old way, it was because I have softened what once made you break easily. You have not walked through all this just to return to who you were. I brought you here so I could place in your hands something you were not yet strong enough to hold before. But before I place it there, I want you to understand something very important. True transformation does not lie in what you can see, but in what is quietly shifting in the inner depths. You may not fully grasp it yet, but I see clearly that your soul no longer trembles before judgment the way it once did. You no longer seek validation from people who cannot understand your journey. You no longer allow the fear of loss to dictate your decisions. I see you learning to step back and observe rather than react impulsively. I see you choosing to hold back words rather than harm yourself or others. I see you learning to care for your own heart instead of letting it run dry for things that are not worthy of it. And my child, this is beautiful. You do not realize that your gentleness, your patience, your quiet endurance have moved the heavens. What the world calls small, heaven bows toward. No one knows how you held yourself together through days when no one stood with you. No one knows how many tears you swallowed to preserve your faith. No one knows how many times you chose goodness when you could have chosen the opposite. But I know. I see. I record every detail. And I tell you, not one choice you made is meaningless. I am leading you into a new realm of understanding, a place where you stand not only by your own strength, but by my guarantee, not by sheer will to survive, but by my peace saturating every part of you. You will see that what once made you tremble is now only a faint shadow. What once confused you is now only a distant echo. What once knocked you down is now only a memory, a part of your journey, but no longer the definition of you. Your transformation did not happen in one moment, but in every moment, And now you are stepping into a phase where the signs are becoming clearer. You will notice you are no longer drawn into pointless arguments. You will find yourself calmer in situations that once unraveled you. You will no longer rush to earn approval. You will begin to understand the value of inner stillness. I am lifting you up, not with a forceful hand pushing from behind, but with the wisdom I am sowing into your mind. You will begin to recognize the difference between what is good and what is harmful. You will begin to sense more clearly how to listen to the intuition I have placed within you. You will begin to know how to refuse the things that drain your soul. You will begin to hunger for truth more than comfort. And my child, that is the unmistakable sign of spiritual maturity. Do you know why I have brought you here? Because you have shown that you want more than merely to live. You want to live according to the very meaning I placed within you from the beginning. You do not wish merely to survive. You desire to bloom. You do not want only to endure. You want to understand deeply. You do not want simply to receive what I give. You desire to become a worthy steward of those things. I will lead you farther still. But before you step into the next part of your journey, I want you to receive this. You have nothing to prove. Not to me. Not to the world. Not even to yourself. Nothing you succeed at makes me love you more. Nothing you fail at makes me love you less. You are loved because you are mine. And when you truly understand this, every remaining fear will fall away like the last dry leaves of a fading season. You are approaching an important moment, not a moment defined by outward events, but by a profound inner shift. You will know when it arrives. It will not be loud. It will not be dramatic, but it will bring such deep peace that you will recognize you have crossed a sacred threshold you have long been waiting for. My beloved child, you are stepping into a spiritual realm where the things that once seemed invisible now grow more distinct. Not because the world around you suddenly changed, but because the inner eyes of your spirit have opened wider. What once confused you now becomes an opportunity to discern my guidance. What once frightened you now becomes the very place where you feel my protection most clearly. You are no longer looking at the world through the eyes of one who has been wounded. You are seeing through the eyes of one who has been remade from the inside out. Can you feel this shift? Your sensitivity has sharpened. Your intuition, the channel through which I whisper to your soul, has become clearer, keener. You are beginning to discern effortlessly what comes from light and what comes from darkness. What once blurred together is now as transparent as a drop of water. You are no longer guided by the noise outside. You are guided by the inner rhythm of my spirit. Your mind no longer chases the relentless demands of the world. It has begun to align with my quiet but powerful call. I have watched the way you've handled recent challenges, and I am pleased. You no longer respond with the panic of earlier days. You no longer let emotions swallow your entire perception. You are no longer trapped in the spirals of dark thoughts that once looped endlessly in your mind. You are learning to pause, breathe deeply, and look at everything through the light of truth rather than through the shadow of fear. You are learning to act only when your heart is grounded. Instead of reacting out of anxiety to hide your vulnerability, you were once wounded easily by careless words, but now they no longer bind you. You once felt frantic when misunderstood, but now you have learned to let me defend you instead of exhausting yourself trying to explain. You once feared judgment, but now you know your true worth does not lie in the eyes of others. You have begun to understand that the loudest voice in your life must be mine, not the echoes of people who cannot see your journey. And my child, I want you to know this is the unmistakable mark of maturity in my spirit. Those around you cannot see all that is unfolding within you. They only see you moving, working, smiling. But I see the hidden transformations, changes so deep that even you sometimes do not notice them. I see the way you no longer let old wounds dictate new decisions. I see the way you refuse to let fear occupy all the space in your mind. I see the way you step forward, even while trembling. That courage, my child, makes heaven tremble with awe. You are no longer someone defined by pain. You are becoming someone who uses pain as material for wisdom. You no longer allow old memories to cast shadows over your present. You are learning to see everything with the eyes of peace, no longer ruled by what once was. Your soul is no longer a barren field. It is becoming a garden where new life is beginning to rise. You once thought I intervened only in moments of crisis, but in truth I am present in the quietest moments as well. When you suddenly feel peace in the middle of a long, weary day, that is me. When you hear the whisper, "Do not fear," inside your heart, though no one is speaking, that is me. When you find yourself stopping before taking a wrong step you almost made, that is me pulling you back. My protection is not a towering wall, it is an invisible covering. Gentle, yet unshakable. Like a sacred atmosphere surrounding you. You will soon realize that not everyone is guided this way. I do not lead by thunder, but by a whisper. I do not direct with loud signs, but with subtle movements in the heart, quiet stirrings that let you instinctively know what to embrace and what to reject. Many do not recognize these movements, but you do, because your soul has been refined through many seasons. You have learned to distinguish truth from the echoes of old wounds. You have learned to hear my voice, even when I speak softly. I have seen the way you choose peace instead of retaliation, the way you choose silence instead of defending yourself, the way you choose forgiveness even when you have every reason not to. I want you to know that these things do not disappear into the unseen. They do not fall into emptiness. They are building a spiritual kingdom within you, a foundation so firm that no wind of this life can sweep it away. Those who hurt you do not determine your destiny. Those who misunderstand you cannot ruin the plans I have prepared for you. The words that once kept you awake at night are now only distant echoes. Because you have grown larger than the pain itself, I am using everything, the tears, the long nights, the silence, the empty spaces, to shape you into someone stronger, deeper, and more illuminated. There are moments when you stop and ask, "Am I even on the right path, my child?" I tell you this, you are exactly where you need to be. You are growing in the exact rhythm I have appointed. Not too fast and not too slow. Not lacking and not excessive. You are stepping precisely where I want your feet to fall. You may not see the destination yet, but that is not what matters. Who is leading you is what determines everything. And it is I who am holding your hand with every step. I want you to begin living from a higher place, the place of someone who recognizes their true worth, not worth based on performance or achievement, but worth based on the truth that you belong to me. You do not need to prove that you deserve my love. My love does not rest on success or failure. It rests simply on your existence. I love you not because you are good, but because you are mine, my child. I am lifting you out of the lower layers of emotion. You no longer need to live under the pull of impulse or injury. You are stepping into a place where your mind and heart are no longer torn apart. You will find yourself calm in the face of disruption. You will find yourself no longer easily moved by harsh words. You will know how to set the right distance from what is unhealthy. And most beautifully, you will learn to love rightly, not blindly, but in the light. All of this is preparing you for an important moment. I am positioning you exactly where you belong, not in a social sense, but in a spiritual one. In that place, you will operate not from fear, but from understanding, not from haste, but from intuition shaped by my spirit. not from wounded emotions, but from clarity born of a restored heart. I am preparing a path for you where, as long as you follow the peace within, you will never lose your way. No scheme can derail it. No one can close the door I open. No force can take what I place in your hands. Take one more step. Believe that good things are drawing closer than ever. You are no longer being pushed by fear. You are being carried by my intention. And my intention has never failed. My beloved child, I want you to pause in this quiet moment to listen more closely to the movements happening within. What I am doing in your soul now is not a temporary change, but a new construction from the foundation up. No longer patching torn corners, but rebuilding the entire structure from its roots. You are not merely being healed, you are being reshaped according to a design I have kept for you until the time you were mature enough, deep enough, strong enough to receive it. You may not see it clearly yet, but your clarity is increasing each day. You are beginning to perceive what I tried to show you before, when you were not quiet enough to hear. The things once mixed together now separate distinctly. What once confused you now becomes easy to understand. The complexity of the outer world no longer distracts you from the rhythm inside. You are hearing more clearly the spiritual voice, the one that does not rise from fear, but from peace as still as quiet waters. I see how you are no longer rushing as before. You have learned to slow down, observe, consider, and listen instead of reacting quickly. This is not accidental. It is the sign that your soul has begun to operate not from wounds, but from wisdom. And when wisdom speaks, you will find yourself no longer easily pulled into outer chaos. You are beginning to discern what is truly my voice and what is only the echo of old pain. You used to be shaken by sudden changes. A careless word could keep you awake. A cold glance could trouble your thoughts for days. Someone's silence could make you doubt yourself. But my child, these things no longer hold power over you. You have grown beyond them. You have sat long enough with your own soul to understand that your value is not controlled by the emotions of others. You have learned not to let your mind be dragged into the circles that do not belong to you. I see this in you, and I rejoice. You are stepping into a spiritual place where your decisions are no longer driven by panic, but by clarity, a place where you clearly know what brightens your soul and what dims it. You are becoming someone who protects yourself from what drains you, no longer someone who bows to every demand. You are stepping out of the invisible grip that once silenced your own voice. Let me affirm this clearly: you were not made to please everyone. You were not designed to carry the unreasonable expectations of others. You were not placed on this earth to become the container for emotions others refuse to handle. I created you as a soul with dignity, with value, with a voice, with your own light, and all of that remains intact within you. Even when you were hurt enough to think you had nothing left, I did not lead you through the recent seasons for you to become afraid. I led you through them so you would stand tall. And my child, you are standing taller than ever. Do you notice how you are no longer easily pulled by judgment as before? You no longer tremble when someone turns away. You no longer place your heart in the hands of those who do not know how to cherish it. This does not make you cold or unfeeling. It means you have learned to open your heart only to what is worthy. You have learned a difficult lesson, one. Not everyone can learn to love without losing yourself. When you reach this level of awareness, I want you to know that you are being lifted into a place no one can pull you down from. Not because you are prideful or strong in the way the world defines strength, but because you have anchored your soul in truth. Those who cling to truth remain steady. Those who lean on me do not waver. Those who place their trust in the right place do not panic when the winds rise. And the wind is about to blow stronger, yet it will not make you fall. It will reveal what in you is real and what was only a covering. But I tell you this beforehand so you will not fear. You have grown deep enough, strong enough to stand in the wind. You have matured enough that nothing outside you can destroy what I have built within you. The wind will not come to break you, it will come to carry away what no longer belongs in your life. Do you know what is about to unfold? Your eyes will begin to see clearly the things you once sensed only faintly. You will see which relationships are genuine and which are only temporary. You will see what is truly my guidance and what was the illusion created by fear. You will see which doors are actually open and which were only distractions that exhausted you. You will see what is growing inside you and what has long been dead. And when you see all of it, you will understand that I have been protecting you far more than you ever realized. My beloved child, you are stepping into a realm where what I placed in you will begin to emerge, not loudly, but subtly like dawn that does not need to strive to dispel the night. You do not need to display what you are becoming simply by being present. The light within you will shift the atmosphere around you. Those who are perceptive will sense peace in you. Those with spiritual eyes will see the clarity in your gaze. Those who are searching will recognize you as a gentle pillar. Those who are wounded will feel in you the softening they crave. But this is not for your pride. It is to show you that the work I am doing in you is not only for you. Light is never created to shine for one person alone. The healing you receive will become healing for others. The peace you are learning will steady those who tremble. The firmness you now carry will help those who are lost find direction. You are not only led out of darkness, you are being positioned to bring light into the very places that once frightened you. You have asked me many times, when will I truly see what you promised? I tell you this, you are standing at the edge of it. Not in some distant future, but right ahead of you. Yet before you touch it, I want your heart to stand in the right posture, not trembling, not doubting yourself, not carrying old fears, not clinging to the voices that once made you shrink. Let them all fall away like the last leaves of a season. You do not need them anymore. And when you become lighter, you will see the path I am opening with greater clarity. You will see each step no longer blurred. You will walk not as one groping in the dark, but as one moving with purpose. You will see that my work for you is not from afar, it is present in every moment. You will see that blessing does not come from desperate striving, but from the harmony between your soul and my voice. My beloved child, you have come much farther than you think. You are no longer standing where you began, you are standing in a new light, where every movement of your soul rings clearly like a bell through a valley after the rain. What was once dim has brightened. What once caused chaos in your mind has lost its power. You are standing at the threshold of an expansion you could never have imagined fully before. Your experiences are no longer repetitive loops. You are walking a path with direction, progression, and purpose. You no longer return to old mistakes, old thoughts, old habits. You have completed the lessons of a long season, and now I am bringing you into a new one where your energy, awareness, and even the purpose I placed in you begin to shift into new form. You once feared being stuck forever in exhausting emotions. You once worried that heavy days would repeat endlessly. But my child, I want you to look back and see the miracle you did not return. You did not let fear take over. You no longer react from old patterns. When conflict rises, you do not fall into chaos, you seek stillness. When wounded, you do not let the pain dictate your response, you seek truth. When lonely, you do not reach for temporary fillers, you reach for me. You thought these were small steps, but I tell you each of them has reshaped your entire foundation. Your soul is no longer built on fear. It is being built on understanding, trust, and a deep connection with me that no force can shake. This new part of the journey is no longer about healing. You have walked that valley. Now I am bringing you into a place of alignment, where you begin to recognize the gift, the calling, and the imprint I placed in you from the very beginning. You were not created merely to overcome pain. You were created to carry a voice, a light, and a spiritual influence that cannot be replicated. You used to see yourself as small, but that was only because you viewed yourself through eyes clouded by hurt. Now that the dust has been lifted, the true image of who you are is coming into view. And I say this for you to take hold of. You are not small. You are not faint. You are not insignificant. You are not forgotten. You were not born to hide in the crowd. You are the one I saw before you were formed, and I placed in you something no one can steal. It is time for you to understand that every challenge you faced was not only to teach you to stand, but to help you recognize your true nature. Your resilience is not accidental. Your deep compassion is not a weakness. Your sensitivity is not fragility. All of these are the marks of those who are called to lead, not by loudness, but by healing presence, not by force, but by light that permeates its surroundings. Do you know why I allowed you to walk through days that felt hopeless? Because I was shaping in you a heart that feels, understands, and carries mercy, a heart soft enough to touch pain in others, yet strong enough not to be swallowed by it. I did not want you hardened, I wanted you deep, and you have become exactly that, my beloved child. In this part of the journey, I want you to see more clearly what I am unfolding. You will notice that you no longer feel satisfied with the small aims that once delighted you, not because they are wrong, but because your soul has outgrown them. You are no longer seeking safety, you are seeking truth. You are no longer choosing the quickest path, you are choosing the right one. You no longer want applause, you want to live true to what I placed within you. This is the unmistakable sign that you have stepped into the season of alignment. You will see my signs more clearly than before. No longer whispers you struggle to hear. No longer vague signals that leave you guessing. I will clarify your direction through unmistakable openings. What does not belong to you will slip out of reach without effort. What belongs to you will appear naturally, without striving or force. You will see surprising encounters that carry direction, opportunities arriving at the perfect moment, doors closing before you even touch them, inner callings rising even when you try to ignore them. Deep impressions in your spirit, you know, are far more than passing thoughts. All of these are signals that I am leading you out of the land of mere survival and into the land of purpose. You once doubted yourself. You once believed you were not talented enough, not strong enough, not wise enough, not holy enough, not stable enough. But all of those were the voices of your wounds, not my voice. If I chose you, it means I already saw what you could not see. If I called you, it means I knew you would answer. If I placed my mark upon you, it means it existed long before you became aware of it. You were not called to become a copy of anyone else. You were called to become yourself, the version I wrote from the very beginning. And my child, the world needs what you carry. No one else can fill your place. No one else can shine with the same frequency of light that you bear. No one else can speak the words I placed in your mouth. No one else can touch the souls you were destined to reach. Now, what you are about to step into will require you to stand on the foundation you have been building all this time. Not a foundation of panic, but of steadiness. Not a foundation of fear, but of confidence that comes from me. not a foundation of lack, but of awareness that I always provide enough, not a foundation of fluctuating emotions, but of the deep stillness of the soul. This is the first step of your new stage. You must see yourself through why eyes, not through what the world has said. If you continue looking through the old lens, you will not recognize the new doors opening. If you keep using old standards as your measure, you will think you are unworthy. But I tell you, you are more ready than you have ever been. This is not just a seasonal change. This is spiritual maturity. This is the moment you begin walking as one who has been positioned, not as one still searching for direction. I will lead you forward, my beloved child. The experiences that seemed painful, the long nights where your prayers had no answers, the valleys you walked through, they have become the wealth of your soul. They have not only taught you patience, but have shaped your ability to discern my voice from fear's voice, and fear's voice from the echoes of old memories trying to pull you back. Through this time, you have not only grown, you have been refined, so you can carry things heavier, deeper, and wider than before. You once thought that being positioned meant being placed somewhere easy. But my child, true positioning means beginning to live in alignment with the role I placed within you. Not a title, not a status, not a social role. Positioning is the intersection between your true identity and the purpose I breathed into you at your formation. When those two meet, you will no longer feel lost. You will no longer feel confused. You will no longer be pulled toward wrong paths. Your soul becomes bright like a flame that stands firm in the wind. Those who have never been broken may look polished, but they are not deep. But the souls that have been carved by trials carry a lasting light, one that cannot be extinguished by the ordinary storms of life. You belong to the second group. You endured blows that should have knocked you down. Yet you stood up, and that is why I entrust you with tasks not everyone can carry. In this season, you will feel your heart changing in ways that are hard to explain. Things that once terrified you lose their grip. Things that once made you ache no longer wound you as deeply. Not because you are numb, but because you have been healed. You have stepped away from the energy of scarcity. You no longer seek others' approval to validate your worth. You know you belong to me. You know you bear my image. You know you were created to influence, not to fade into the background. When you stand in this state, what I placed in you begins to move. Dreams that once slept begin to awaken. Visions once covered by the dust of fear begin to shine again. You will see new ideas rise in your mind like faint glimmers that gradually expand into full pictures. You will feel strong inner impulses, gentle yet unmistakable. These are not random. They are the resonance between your soul and my breath. My child, positioning does not come like a thunderclap. It comes like dawn spreading across the sky, gentle yet unstoppable. You may not notice the shift moment by moment, but when you look back, you will see you have traveled far from your old self. The claws that once held your soul have lost their hold. The old paths have no allure for you anymore. You are standing on a new plane, a space where your soul is no longer torn by anxiety or hesitation. This is a change no force of darkness can undo. You know what you are receiving. You know you cannot live carelessly anymore. You know your words, thoughts, and actions hold a weight you never noticed. I need you to be steady. I need you to calm down. I need you to listen before you react. I need you to walk as one who knows they are guided, not one groping through darkness. This does not mean I expect perfection. I do not want perfection. I want a partnership. Whenever you open your heart, I will give wisdom. Whenever you pause to listen, I will show direction. Whenever you grow weary, I will lift you up. I will not leave you for a single moment. You do not walk alone. I go before you to open doors. I go behind you to shield you. I walk beside you in companionship. I live within you to give strength. In this season of positioning, I will clarify your relationships. Some will come because of the purpose I placed in you. Others will come only because they benefit from the shade of the grace covering you. I will give you discernment so you do not confuse the two. You will know whom to keep, whom to release. Not because you despise anyone, but because you cannot take everyone into the next chapter. Some relationships are only for a season. Some connections exist only to propel you forward. When that season ends, they will naturally drift away. Do not grasp. Do not cling. Do not grieve. It is not a loss. It is alignment. You will no longer think in the pattern of will there be enough. You will think in the pattern of where am I being led. You will no longer ask, what if I fail, you will ask. What are you teaching me in this step? That is the evidence that you are no longer operating from fear. You are operating from faith. Faith is not an emotion. Faith is stability. Faith is an anchor. Faith is the awareness that because I do not leave you, no circumstance can defeat you. I will also expand the borders of your thinking in a strange, the unexpected way. You will begin to think bigger. Not bigger in ambition, but bigger in soul, big enough to match the true size of who you are becoming. You will no longer let yourself be confined by the limits you once believed you could not surpass. You will begin to see that what I placed inside you is far too large to live in old, narrow spaces. Your heart will no longer tolerate the confines of past limitations. This will create a kind of inner movement, powerful, deep, and overflowing. You do not need to force yourself to walk in a new direction. It is my breath within you that will pull you forward. It is the freshness I have placed in your soul that will urge you onward. It is the light I have sown in your mind that will open paths you never imagined. And I tell you this, do not resist that expansion. Do not doubt it. Do not try to confine it to the patterns you once lived in. I am bringing you into a freedom you have never known before. Not freedom from difficulty, but freedom from feeling devoured by difficulty. Not freedom from challenges, but freedom from believing you must endure them by sheer strength. Not freedom from responsibility, but freedom from the pressure of thinking you must handle everything alone. You are being led, not abandoned. You are being upheld, not neglected. You are being positioned, not left to drift with circumstances. You are becoming someone you never thought you could become, not by rigid striving, but by my unfailing love and my gentle leading. You are stepping into the version of yourself that was designed long before you had words for your own existence. My beloved child, you are not only stepping into a new season, you are stepping into an entirely different level of awareness, presence, and communion between you and me. This is not a subtle shift like a passing breeze. This is a deep movement at the roots of your soul. You are leaving behind the old cycles of reaction, limited thinking, and small habits that used to shrink you. I have seen you rise not with noise, but with steady silence, not with showmanship, but with faithfulness, not with impatience for results, but with the resolve to take one step at a time, even when you saw nothing ahead. It is that rhythm, the rhythm of steadfastness in the dark, that has drawn heaven's attention. For those who remain faithful in silence are the ones I trust with the deepest works, the greatest assignments, and the gifts that require careful hands. You thought you were merely surviving each day. You thought you were only trying not to fall apart. But in the spiritual realm, you have been shining. Every whispered prayer, every time you said, I believe even when I don't see. Every moment you chose silence instead of arguing. Every time you chose goodness instead of retaliation. All of these have shaken the heavens and stirred a mighty spiritual movement around you. Now I want you to open your heart to this truth. You are no longer in the position of one who waits. You are in the position of one who has been prepared. You are no longer standing outside the threshold. You are crossing it. And this preparation, quiet but profound, will become the foundation that ensures the blessings I am about to give you will not overwhelm you, confuse you, or cause you to lose yourself, but instead will allow you to stand firm, peaceful, and gentle amid the abundance that is about to bloom. Before, when something good opened up, your heart trembled in fear of losing it. When an opportunity appeared, you worried you were not enough. When a door cracked open, you wondered whether it truly belonged to you. Those reactions were not wrong. They were the imprint of a soul that has struggled for many years. But now, my child, I am renewing the way you receive goodness. You will no longer tremble when blessings arrive. You will receive them with the steadiness of a soul that knows it is loved. You will not fear when a door opens wide. You will walk through with calm confidence, not arrogance, not shrinking back, but the strong humility of one who knows grace is leading them. Positioning is not only the moment you recognize who you are in me, it is the moment you become a refuge for others. Yes, my child, you who have long asked me to shelter you will now become the one through whom I shelter others. Your experiences, your healed wounds, your hidden sobs, the dark valleys you crossed, all these will become a bridge for others to walk over their own depths. I am not asking you to search for people to save. I will bring them to you. They will be drawn to the peace you carry. They will see in you a stability they do not yet possess. They will say that simply being near you brings them relief. This is not because you are great, it is because my presence in you has become a spring. The light in you will call to those in despair, and you will not need to do anything extraordinary. Your presence alone will be a testimony. But I also want you to understand another truth. The closer you stand to the light, the more darkness will test you, not to destroy you, but to confirm that what I placed in you has matured. I will allow small tests to come like soft winds brushing a tree, not to break you, but to prove that your roots have grown deep. You will notice you no longer react as before. You will not be pulled into conflict. You will not be swept up in negativity. You will no longer feel the need to prove your worth. These are signs that your soul has become anchored. This transition will give you a new kind of spiritual authority. Authority not to control, but to influence. Not to command, but to shape. Not to appear strong, but to become a voice of balance. You will notice your words carry a different weight. When you speak encouragement, it will pierce deeply. When you pray for others, they will feel a warmth you never knew you could convey. When you stand before someone in pain, your soul will discern what they need without anyone telling you. This is the gift I give to those who have learned to listen, to be silent, to wait and trust. Understand this as well: the material blessings you once prayed for are not forgotten. They are coming not as scattered drops, but as a steady flow. But I do not only want to give you provision, I want to give you wisdom to steward it, peace to manage it, and humility so it does not overshadow the true light within you. What I provide is not for boasting. It is so you may live generously, compassionately, honorably, as one who knows that every gift flows from a single source, your Father. You must learn not to fear losing grace. Grace is not a gift you must clutch tightly to keep from slipping away. Grace is a river that never runs dry. The more you open your heart, the more it flows. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you live truthfully, the more powerfully it pours through you. Do not fear expansion. Do not fear elevation. Do not fear when your name is spoken in places your feet have never stepped into. Do not fear when I bring you into positions others claim you are unqualified for. I alone decide whether you are enough, and I have already declared you are enough, because you do not walk alone. I also want you to embrace your own maturity. You are no longer the one who needs to be lifted out of the dark. You have become the one who can extend a hand and lift others up, not because you are stronger than they are, but because you have spent a season learning how to stand firm in grace. What you learned through pain has now become treasure. You are becoming the very thing you once asked me to create within you. You once prayed for peace, now you have become peace. You once prayed for strength, now you are a place of strength for others. You once prayed for clarity, now you carry light in your eyes. You once prayed for heavenly care, now you are the one planting hope into other souls. This is not the end. This is the final transition of a long season. As you step into what comes next, you will find yourself lighter, brighter, deeper, broader, and steadier. You are being positioned. You are being affirmed. You are being placed in the space I wrote for you before you could even name your own life. I will lead you forward, my beloved child. As you enter the final season of this journey, I want you to understand that what I am preparing now is no longer merely personal. It is catalytic, expansive, and carries influence far beyond the environment you currently live in. You have walked through a long season of positioning, but in this new chapter, I am not only positioning you, I am revealing why I chose you from the very beginning. This is the moment your soul begins to step into its true role, the one you were woven to inhabit, the one no one else can fill. You once felt different, unable to blend with the crowd, uneasy with the things others found ordinary. You once thought you were too sensitive, too deep, too reflective, too strange. But I say to you, that was not an odd personality trait, that was the mark. Souls who are called always bear signs: a wider inner world, a deeper intuition, a greater compassion, a stronger endurance. You were not made to dissolve into the masses. You were made to guide those who are wandering. I will cause you to remember the things you once set aside: old dreams, forgotten desires, hopes you thought had died, parts of yourself you believed were beyond reach. But my child, those things did not die. They were waiting for your soul to mature enough to carry them without trembling. Just as Joseph had to spend years in obscurity before the promise began to shine, you too have walked through necessary valleys so that your soul would not be fragile when I open great doors. Know this: I do not lead you somewhere just to let you observe. I lead you so you may enter, possess, and operate in what I declared long ago. You stand on a higher level not because you are more skilled, but because you responded rightly to the refining process. You have shown me that your heart is soft enough for me to shape and strong enough not to break under trial. This is what I require from those entrusted with great spiritual responsibility. In this chapter, you will experience a new kind of stillness, a strange peace that does not come from circumstances, but from knowing you no longer have to hold everything by your own strength. You will find that instead of trying to predict the future, your soul begins to rest in my rhythm. No more rushing, no more inner trembling, no more apprehension. This stillness is not empty silence, it is a space filled with divine direction. The words I place in your heart will become clearer not because you strain to hear, but because your heart is calm enough to listen. You once thought something was wrong with you because you saw farther than others, felt spiritual shifts more intensely, or heard my whispers in moments others considered ordinary. But my child, that is not excessive sensitivity, it is a gift. Spiritual discernment is what I give to those who must bring light into darkness, lead in chaos, and bring stability to the unsettled. What you once considered an inner burden is actually a heavenly tool. I wove it into you while you were still being formed in your mother's womb. But I want you to understand this clearly. The discernment I give is not so you can carry the world on your shoulders. It is given so you may become a lamp, not a cradle holding the whole earth. Light does not embrace everything. It illuminates where it stands. You do not need to become everything to everyone. You only need to stand in the place I assign you, and the light will spread on its own. You once feared that stepping forward would cause you to be misunderstood. You feared that living as your true self would make others say you were too spiritual, too sensitive, too idealistic. But my child, it is time to step out of the fear of being misconstrued. For those who belong to you will recognize you instantly, and those who do not belong to you will never be able to pull you off course. This season will bring you into a very subtle separation. What does not belong to you will grow heavy when you try to cling to it. What does belong to you will become light when you take hold of it. I will cause you to sense this in the spirit even before you see it with your eyes. You will feel that you are no longer walking alone. You will experience the way my hand reaches forward to arrange the right things, at the right time, with the right people, in a way that leaves you astonished. Not loud miracles, but a quiet orchestration, pure, fluid, precise down to every detail, like pieces of a puzzle dropping perfectly into their place. I want you to prepare for a great shift in how you see yourself. No more humility distorted into self-doubt. No more gentleness twisted into shrinking back. No more kindness manipulated by others. You will step into a sacred kind of self-respect, a deep recognition of your own worth that does not need shouting, does not need display. It is the reverence of your own being, because you know you were crafted by the hands of the one who never creates anything unnecessary. You will also find yourself becoming steady in ways that seem unusual. Not steady because you are trying to prove strength, but steady because your soul has been planted deep in my living waters. When others fear, you will remain calm. When situations become chaotic, you will stay clear-minded. When decisions become difficult, you will still hear my direction. This is unmistakable evidence that you are no longer operating by human strength but by my spirit. You are about to step into a realm of multiple open doors. No longer just small doors opening randomly one at a time. I will open many doors at once, not because you need many escape routes, but because you are being brought into a wider space. Just as a river narrows when it passes through a tight path but spreads wide when it reaches the open, your soul is entering that open space now. There are blessings that have been held back only because you were not strong enough to carry them. Not because I am stingy, but because I love you. You are not given gifts when you are too fragile, because goodness that arrives at the wrong time becomes a burden. But now, you have matured. You have learned to trust me without demanding. You have learned to stand without trembling. You have learned to wait without despairing. You have learned to surrender without losing your direction. Now I can open my hand and give. You will perceive what I am saying not only through events, but through the transformation within yourself. You will find your heart expanding, your mind brightening, your vision clarifying, your hope strengthening, and most importantly, you will no longer ask, "Am I truly loved?" You will know Know fully, know deeply, know to your very core that you are loved with a love that is unconditional, unshakable, and without limit. My child, you have matured far more than you realize, and that very maturity is the key that unlocks the new land. Prepare your heart. I am about to take you deeper. You are being reshaped at the deepest layer of your being, where your beliefs, memories, wounds, and intuition are being realigned into a new order, an order I designed long before you knew how to form a single prayer. This is not merely change. This is recreation. There are things I am dismantling within you, not because they were wrong, but because you are stepping into a form that can no longer fit inside the old structure. My beloved child, your soul is being lifted into a higher plane of awareness, and because of that, the tones within your inner world will sound different from before. You will find yourself calm in situations that once triggered panic. You will find your heart light in matters that once weighed you down. You will find that you no longer chase after everyone's approval, because deep within you rises a voice stronger than anything outside you, my voice. When you hear that voice clearly, not with your ears, but with an inner knowing, that is the sign that your spirit has stepped into a stage of true spiritual maturity. You have lived many years with the fear of abandonment, the fear of failure, the fear of not being enough, the fear of loss, the fear of being misunderstood. Those fears were like shadows cloaking your perception, causing you to see yourself through a distorted lens. But now, as my light enters every dark corner, you will find those fears losing their power, not because your circumstances changed, but because your mindset is being renewed. I am doing what no one else can do, shifting your thoughts from a pattern of lack to a pattern of fullness, from a pattern of self-protection to a pattern of trust, from a pattern of contraction to a pattern of expansion. There were moments when you thought you were unworthy of the goodness I promised, moments when you blamed yourself for past mistakes and assumed my gifts were only for the spotless. But I want you to know this truth: it is precisely because you were once broken that I chose to heal you and then use you as a living witness of my love. It is precisely because you were once weak that I placed my strength in you, so no one can boast except in grace. It is precisely because you once thought you were useless that I am lifting you up, so you may see the purpose I placed within you is untouched by time and unharmed by wounds. When I expand your soul, I also expand the space in which you live. You will see your life welcoming wider things, deeper peace, greater opportunities, richer relationships, and more sacred responsibilities. But remember this: the new space requires a new way of living. You cannot step into the door I open if your hands are still holding the things that once weighed your soul down. I am removing from you invisible burdens, buried memories, quiet accusations, hidden self-condemnation, not because I want you to forget, but because I want you free from their power over you. There is a kind of freedom that only those who have walked deep into their own darkness and then stepped out into my light can understand. It is the freedom of no longer running from fear, but sitting down before it and watching it shrink in my presence. It is when you realize that the very things that once threatened you have become steps lifting you higher. It is when you discover that every trial that once made you weep is now being used by me to build the strongest part of you. You no longer flee from the darkness, you carry light into it. In this new season, I will bring you into spaces you never believed you could step into, both within your mind and in the world around you. You will experience something profound as you change on the inside. The environment around you will begin to shift. You will see old relationships fade gently away, not because you reject them, but because your frequency has changed. You will find that old patterns of thought no longer serve the needs of your present self. You will sense with clarity that empty conversations no longer feed your spirit, but deep and meaningful exchanges ignite you from within. I will send new people, souls who have been prepared to walk alongside you. They will not come to fill a void, they will come to build with you what I have placed in your life. These people will not cause you to doubt your worth, nor drain your strength, nor force you to fight to keep your peace. They will come like a gentle breeze, like a missing piece falling perfectly into place, like answers to prayers you whispered long ago. And you will recognize them not by reason, but by the peace in your heart when they appear. This expansion will require something simple yet profound from you: willingness. I do not demand perfection. I do not demand that you be strong all the time. I only ask you to be willing to follow me. You do not need to see the whole path, only to step when I speak. You do not need every detail, only the trust that I am leading you to the right place. When you are willing, I will do the rest. When you grow tired, I will lift you. When you stray, I will draw you back. When you become confused, I will speak a word into your heart that brings everything back into alignment. You will also notice something unusual: your silence will become your strength. You will no longer need to argue to defend yourself. My words will defend you. You will no longer need to explain yourself to be understood. I will cause others to recognize your value without a single word from you. You will no longer need to chase anyone to keep them close. Those who belong to you will remain. Those who do not will leave without harming you. That is not loss. It is adjustment so that your steps may be light. What I am preparing now is an increase beyond your imagination. Not only an increase in what you have, but in who you are. You will notice your peace growing so strong that nothing can shake it. You will see your words carry a weight that causes others to listen. You will witness the atmosphere of a room shift when you enter it. You will find that you no longer plead to be seen. The light within you will not allow you to be overlooked. Remember, you are no longer who you once were. You no longer carry the old energy. You no longer think as you once did. You no longer fear what once terrified you. You are being remade, elevated, and positioned in the place I chose to reveal my light through you at an appointed time. My beloved, in this moment, I want you to pause with me, not to close anything, but to look back at all you have passed through with the eyes of heaven. You have walked from fear into steadiness, from brokenness into renewal, from darkness into light, from hesitant steps in confusion into peace that now rises from within. The greatest miracle is not that your circumstances changed, but that your soul was renewed. And that renewal is the evidence that my hand never left you, not even for a breath. This is not an ending. This is the meeting point between what was and what is coming. Everything you have learned, everything you have endured, everything I have shaped within you now converges to form a foundation strong enough for me to build upon things far greater than anything you once imagined. I did not lead you through a long journey only for you to stand still. I led you to prepare your soul for the most radiant part of the path ahead. You once asked me, "Why is goodness always delayed for me?" You once bowed your head in tears, believing I had forgotten my promises. You once thought there was something wrong with you, that you were not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. But let me say this clearly: I never delayed. I only waited for your soul to become strong enough so that blessing would not become a burden. Gifts arriving too early can break you, but when they arrive at the right time, they become doors to freedom. Your soul has matured, and that maturity has unlocked a season of growth that cannot be stopped. You are entering a spiritual age in which you no longer operate from fragile instincts but from wisdom that comes from me. You no longer tremble at change. You welcome it with the calm of one who knows they are held in the Father's hand. You no longer fear being left behind. You know you are being led every day, according to the divine schedule heaven has ordained. The fears that once suffocated you will no longer weigh upon you as they did before. The memories that once wounded you will become testimonies of healing. The inner conflicts that once chained your feet will be removed, layer by layer. And you will find yourself lighter, brighter, broader, and stronger. I do not make you forget the past. I make you overcome it. And that is a victory no force can ever steal from you. Now, the most important thing is that you recognize the new role I am placing upon you. This role does not come from effort, but from destiny. It is not a temporary choice, but an eternal designation. You have been made a bearer of light. You have been made a sower of hope. You have been made one who stands at the intersection between earth and heaven. You have been made one whose words touch souls when you open your mouth. When you are present, people feel peace. When you pray, the atmosphere shifts. When you enter a room, the darkness retreats, not because you are strong, but because my light dwells within you. But to walk fully in this role, you must learn to protect your own being. You cannot step into a radiant season while still living as the child of yesterday. I want you to keep your heart in purity. You must learn to discern what nourishes your soul and what weighs it down. You must be cautious with the whispers of doubt. Those whispers do not come from me. If your soul feels constricted, anxious, or tightened at something you hear, that is not my voice. But if your heart softens, brightens, and fills with peace, that is the imprint of my speaking. From this point on, you will sense my presence differently than before. No longer only in those moments when you cry in the dark and beg for me to appear. No longer only in the hours when you are exhausted and collapsing and need me to lift you up. From here forward, my presence will become the environment you live in, not an occasional intervention. You will feel me in every breath, every decision, every step, every moment. This closeness does not come because you searched for me. It comes because I have drawn you nearer. There will be moments in the future when you stand before doors you once believed your life would never reach. You will look around and realize you no longer tremble as you used to. You will feel a stillness inside you so profound that even you will marvel. That is the moment you will understand that it was not you who changed your circumstances. It was I who changed you to fit the circumstances I have prepared. I say this with reverence. You will never return to your former state. What has been removed will not be put back. What I have closed will not reopen. What I open for you, no one can shut. You have crossed a point from which neither you nor anyone else can bring you back to who you used to be. This is not a temporary phase. This is a new establishment for your soul. Do not be surprised when others fail to understand the journey you are on. Not everyone is given sight into what I show you. Not everyone hears what I speak to you. Not everyone feels the movements of the unseen realm as you do. And that is perfectly right. You do not need everyone to understand. You only need to walk. Your part is to take steps. My part is to open the way. The blessing to come will require a heart far wider than anything you thought you possessed. Not so you can keep more, but so you can give more. You will become a place where wandering comes for direction. You will become an anchor for the souls who are unsteady. You will become the cool water flowing over the dry soil of another's life, and you will not run dry. Because your source is not yourself, but me, the source that never diminishes. My child, I want you to look at yourself now. Through my eyes, you have become an entirely different person. You are strong without being hardened. You are gentle without being weak. You are deep without being heavy. You are wise without being prideful. You are peaceful without being indifferent. You honor without becoming dependent. You open your heart without losing yourself. These are the signs of a soul that has matured. My child, as you hear this, I want you to know that I am proud of you in a way that words cannot capture. Not because you are perfect, but because you have been faithful. Not because you are strong, but because you have allowed me to be strong for you. Not because you have never fallen, but because every time you fell, you returned in humility. Now prepare yourself for the unwritten part of the journey. Not the journey you write for yourself, but the journey I will write through your life. You are ready for radiance without limit, expansion without obstruction, peace that cannot be shaken, and love that does not fade. My beloved child, we will continue together. Thank you for listening to today's message. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so we may continue receiving the living word, building unshakable faith, and walking in the boundless love of God. Amen.